Is he going to do feedback again?
Okay, we're back live. Welcome back to the discussion group. Thank you for sticking around. I have the business to read off. Our mission, thank you for your support for the last 23 years. We offer separate programming for men under 40 called Young Leathermen's Discussion Group. If you're interested to know more about YLDG, please go farm after this program, and you can tell you a little bit more as well. For more information about LDG, visit sfldg.org to learn about upcoming programs, see videos of past programs, and sign up for our mailing lists. Now is the portion of the show where we talk about donations. Donations of your support offset the cost of programming. Everyone that has helped out tonight, presenters, board, setup crew, and teardown crew are all unpaid volunteers. I'm not sure if you knew that, but we invite you to donate. And where's Tim? Thank you.
Can I turn it on?
Yeah.
Okay.
We want you to donate as the bucket goes around and makes its way back around the room. Things like amazing space, and the snacks and more. If you have any cash, if you don't have any cash but want to donate, you can go to sfldg.org/donate. You can also set up a monthly recurring payment to support LDG's programs. I want to thank the volunteers that helped set up tonight, and we'll break down. And they are Jay, Jimmy, Rascal, Rajak, Ashish, and James. Whoa. Whoa. And if you want to talk to me, you can email me at chairman@sfldg.org. Right now, we're going to have an announcement from Mr. Ray Spanian.
Yeah, of course, my phone just went. I wanted to talk about Eagle Plaza and basically put in your mind to save the date for April 28th. That will be a combination 6th anniversary of the Eagle. It will be a fundraiser for the leather contingent for the SF Pride Parade, and it will be a fundraiser for raising the gap in funds that are necessary to complete the plaza. So we have to raise about $150,000. We've raised about 50 of it, and we have to fill that gap. And so what we're going to do is do a big fundraiser. We can't give you details yet because we don't have them all. We're dealing with city permits and things like that. But save the date for April 28th, 2 to 8 p.m., big event at the Eagle, and maybe outside the Eagle. We're not quite sure yet. Go to eagleplaza.org, and you will see a PDF of a donor-level pamphlet. Please look at it yourself. Hand it to anybody who has money. We have donor levels starting at around 100 to 250, all the way up to $10,000. And those donor levels will give you a marker of some sort in the plaza permanently. Your name, your organization, your club, whatever you want to honor, a person's name you want to honor in perpetuity in the plaza, ensconced there forever. That's our number one way of raising money, are these donor levels. So if you could go to that, that would be great.
What was the website again?
eagleplaza.org.
Okay, thank you.
It's technically Friends of Eagle Plaza, which will be the organizing body that runs the plaza afterwards. Last thing, if you are in Los Angeles and you are attending the Off Sunset Festival, which is the same weekend as the big leather event that's going on down there, there will be an Eagle Plaza booth at that Off Sunset Festival. And they're already going to start with raffles and information and stuff like that. Send people to that booth. Go to that booth yourself. Thank you very much.
That's right. Thank you, Race. Okay, I'll make this quick because I want to get these two going as soon as possible. Next month, we're probably going to have a companion piece to the revolting fisting show that we did for you in July last year. It's not going to be a performance, so don't get too excited. It's going to be discussion around the kind of things you need to bear in mind if you're going to go that far. That said, Matt is now going to tell his story to the room. Dixie's going to take some notes, and then when he's done, she'll give some live coaching, and then we'll, I imagine that's going to create some questions that you guys can then maybe ask, and I will stop taking up time.
Donald,
Oh,
what's
and
the
also-
for me?
Pardon?
I don't have my phone, so can I get you the time?
Yes, absolutely.
Just use the
Yeah.
stopwatch.
Do you want me to come and sit over there and let you
You
know?
can do whatever you.
Or I'll just
I
wait
just
for
need to
maybe-
know afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, and is there anything else you would like to say to sort of for the audience or for Matt as we before we set him up?
So we didn't have time to work on coaching before this, so we're doing this live in front of you, and we're gonna find out what happens together. We're making things happen live on stage. Usually I just sit and listen and let them talk start to finish, and then time and see how long it is, and then I give you feedback. But you are going to look at them. I'm going to be looking at the paper and not looking at
Do
you.
you want me to stand up?
I'd love for you to stand up and tell them a story.
Does matter?
Yeah, go for it.
Hi. Hi. I'm going to tell you a story about how a boy met a boy. So my last relationship was a very closed-off relationship, and we had a very interesting relationship with kink. I knew that I was a kinky fucker. I would go online all the time, and I would watch video after video after video, and you know how your dick does that thing when you're into something and it just gets rock hard? My dick did that to a lot of things, especially fisting. Fisting was like the one thing for me that I could come almost instantly watching people get fisted online, but I felt this deep, deep sense of shame over it because my partner at the time just hated kink, he hated fisting. He basically said that whoever was into kink had mental problems that they hadn't sort of worked through. I ended up leaving him because he wasn't right for me. And I ended up losing about 60 pounds, and I ended up learning to love myself so much that I thought it would be a really good idea on New Year's to wear this super cute angel outfit with these massive wings. I got asked to work the door at a polyglamorous New Year's party, and I thought I looked so fucking cute in this all-white outfit with these big wings. I didn't want to be that girl walking around inside the party with the wings on, but I knew working the door as I scanned all of those tickets that everybody had to see my outfit as they walked through the door. And I think it was about 700 people saw my outfit. And New Year's hit, my friends came and they wished me a Happy New Year's. And finally it was my turn to go inside and sort of experience the party. Of course, I didn't want to wear those wings, so I put them in the back area. I went and found my friends, and I started dancing with them. And the lights were amazing. They were flashing pink and blue and red, and they all seemed to converge on this one beautiful man. I remember seeing him immediately. He had this beautiful black skin, these kind eyes, and what stood out to me was this bright red mohawk. And I went over and I saw, like, I had to go say hi. And I walked over and I introduced myself. He did not introduce himself. I said, "Hi, I'm Matt, and I never got a New Year's kiss. Would you like to be my New Year's kiss?" And he said, "Yes." So he kissed me, and I sort of was rubbing up against his body and feeling his leather harness and his leather jockstrap, and I looked down and he was wearing these beautiful leather boots. And he asked me, "Where are your wings?" And I said, "I don't know. Want to go help me find them?" And he took me by the hand and he led me to the upstairs. They were calling it the sort of love den. It wasn't supposed to be a play space, but it was. And every 15 minutes, a security guard would walk by and he would say, "You guys aren't supposed to be fucking in here." And of course, everyone stopped, obviously. But he let me in, and it was love at first spit roast. Now, I hadn't done any of these things that we eventually ended up doing. He shoved me down on my knees, shoved my face into his boots, and started licking them. And I had never had someone dominate me before. And oh my God. I got rock hard, and I was into all of it. He started inviting whoever he could, and he just bent me over, and he started fucking me really, really rough. And then he just started inviting everyone else to use my hole. So it was like guy after guy after guy. My face was shoved down in dicks, on boots, everything. I was nervous because I'd never done any of this before, so the thought going in my mind was, am I doing this right? I didn't know if I was, but he was making me do everything, so I just wanted to please. I was in this mindset of just pleasing. And he ended up coming in me, and his friend came in right after that, and he said, we have to leave. And he said, this was great, and he ran away. Because his friend got sick. I would find out later. Now imagine if this was like a Cinderella story, except for the glass slipper was his load in my ass. I didn't get a name. I didn't get a name, a number, anything, but all I knew is I was obsessed with this man. Like I needed to know who he was. And I remember the very next day, the entire week after, just trolling on Facebook trying to find him. I was like, I need to know who this person is. It was a few months later that his friend came up to me and was like, you're the redhead. I'm like, yes, I'm a redhead. No, you're the redhead. You're the redhead that my best friend is obsessed with. And I was like, oh, who? And he showed me a picture, and his name was Raymond. And I learned that day that Raymond lived in Denver. And I added him on Facebook, and I said, I need to go on a date with you. Next time you're in the same town, I want to go on a date with you. I want to get to know you. And he's like, yeah, sure. That's all he said. But I was determined to meet this person again. Pride, at the Comfort and Joy party, in the exact same space, I'm dancing with my friend, and there is this red light that is just in my eyes, bothering me. It won't stop flashing, so I grab him. I'm like, I need to move from this space. I need to get away from here. So we fought our way through the crowd to the exact same spot that I met him 6 months ago, and there he is, crossing my path. And I grab him and I say, do you remember me? And he was like, yeah, I remember you. And I was like, no, so you remember me? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm so happy to be running into you again. Because for 6 months, I had been obsessing over this dominant topic, showing me thing that I always wanted to experience. And I said, I want you to fuck me again like you did on New Year's. And he starts laughing. And he tells me, oh, I'm mostly a bottom. And in my mind, I was like, oh, okay. And for him, my dick still got hard. So I was like, I can roll with this. We'll see how it works out. And we ended up fucking all over the dance floor. And we tried to go upstairs to the Love Den, as it was still called. And it was packed. There was no way we were gonna experience anything. And he turns to me and says, do you want to go to a play party? And I said, yes. I immediately said yes. I didn't want this boy to walk off without me. And so we jumped in an Uber and we went to a house that he was hosting at. There were about 30 boys and I only wanted him. I was only interested in him. And I ended up fucking him for a good hour before he turns to me and he says, do you like fisting? And I said, yes. If you've ever seen Zootopia, the scene in the DMV with the sloth where she gets the joke, his face just went. And he says, oh, I didn't think someone like you would be into fisting. And I said, what does that mean? He says, well, you just don't look like someone who would be into fisting. And I turn to him and I say, well, let me show you just how much into fisting I am. So if you can imagine, 4 in the morning, I'm sitting there, rolling my tits off with a nail clipper trying to clip my nail without any of my finger off. And he's just sitting there patiently for what seems like about 25 minutes as I just carefully just... And he mixes up some J-Lube, gets on the bed in front of me, and I just see his beautiful, round ass. It is just there and huge. It looks like it's going to devour me, and I'm completely okay with it. And I put in one finger and two fingers, and he says, "Have you ever done this before?" And I said, "No, I've only ever seen it, but I've always wanted to." And so I put in a third finger, and then finally my whole hand. It goes in much quicker than I'm expecting. Because she's a professional. And so for about 15 minutes, I am just going to town, making love to this hole with my hand. And then he says, "Oh, you should slide your dick in too." And I'm like, "That's a thing?" And he's like, "Yeah, give it a try." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I slowly slide my dick into, and I came almost immediately. I think the hardest I have ever come. And then I did it again and again. And I think I ended up breathing his ass 6 times in the course of 2 hours, just again and again, fist fucking his hole. And I knew this person is supposed to be the person for me. And I think what was I think what made me fall in love with him so fast was the fact that no one had ever allowed me to experience kink before. I had constantly gotten, "Oh, you're either too disgusting for being into what you're into, or you don't seem like you're into that, or you don't belong in this space," that I just sort of, in my mind, developed this thought of, well, I'm never going to try it. And I had almost become okay with it. And then this man walks into my life, and first he dominates me. And I think I'm going to spend the rest of my life with a dominant top. And then I find out that he's not like that, but I find out that he is into so much more. And I got so excited about all the things that I was finally allowing myself to try, because someone had finally given me the opportunity and said, "Yes, I would love to do that with you." And I have never, ever let him go since. It happens all the time.
Stop for a minute, we're going to send it.
Yeah.
Talk amongst you.
Well, I thought that was bloody amazing.
Yeah.
And for the record, so my first story of Bordy was about the first time I got fisted. And so when I told Dixie I had a storyteller, I said, "Listen, I did not choose this man because of his story, but I'm not unhappy about it." Good.
Where are the angel wings?
Oh, I left them at my friend's house and he threw them in a dumpster. I was really upset. Because one of my favorite things to do, honestly, is to do acid and put fairy wings on. And it just makes me feel so free. I don't know why, so just like flitting around my house in fairy wings. I have since then bought a few pairs. We have about 3 or 4 pairs.
Are they different colours for different moods?
Yeah, so we have like feather wings. We bought Tinkerbell wings for my partner because he wanted to be Tinkerbell. And then the top bob of Tinkerbell fell off, and so he just looked like Karen. With wings. Like that asymmetrical bob. The very pink ones.
Very good.
We have a whole costume box.
So, was he still living in Denver when you put up with him the second time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so he moved to San Francisco. Yeah.
Cool.
And so it was just completely,
For you?
for me, yeah, just to see him in the exact same spot for him to walk up. And then I was like, do you remember? And he's like, yes. I was like, I'm keeping you forever, and I'm never letting you go anywhere without me again, ever.
That didn't scare him.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we've since changed. I let him leave the house.
You still have a tracker on him, right?
Yeah, I got him an Apple device. He doesn't understand how Find My Friends work. It's healthy, I promise.
You ready?
Yeah, I think so. I've got the pages out of order.
Okay.
So it's going to be like, I keep going, how can that be page 5? That's out of order. One of the things, you're really good storyteller. You're really good storyteller. Give it up again for that. You kind of like let us see like 700 people at a party. So often when people say, so I went to this party, they just go, so I'm at this party. It's like, that could be 700 people in your case. It could be 30 people in somebody's living room. We don't know what party means. So as you go through, you need to kind of set the scene. You did it perfectly. You worked the door. We could see those glorious angel wings. We could see 700 people coming through, and you impressing them all. You totally owning it, and then saying, I'm not going to go in there with these wings on, and taking them off. You know, like you put the detail. Usually people go through it and then they go, oh, I took my wings off at the door. But he says, where's your wings? Oh, did I not mention that I took them off? Oh, yeah. So you kept everything in order very well. It's always good when you go through to kind of, if you're willing, name the party so that people can find the party. You did that the second time. You said comfort and joy, but we probably name it the first time so that we could go, so that as people are listening and there's, you know, an angel who looks like you working the door, and there's 700 people, and there's a sex den where they can fuck, and then stop for 15 minutes when the security guard came by, and then start up again, they're going to be sitting there going, where's that party? Tell them where the party is, you know, as long as it's cool that you named this place. When you have characters in a story, it's really good. Most people will say, he's about 6'2", and he had brown hair. You gave us beautiful brown skin, a red mohawk, but the thing that really makes a character come to life for the audience is seeing their face. So we could see the red mohawk, we could see the skin, but we couldn't see their face. Their face tells us everything. Who you choose to say they look like, if you kind of say they look like a cross of this character in pop culture, you're going to hear everybody in the audience go, oh. And they're also going to go like, you know, you could go, you know, this top came up to me and looked like Snidely Whiplash. And everybody's going to go, oh, I don't like that guy. You know, or you could go, it looks like Brad Pitt bred with fucking Clive Owen, and we go, oh, I like that character. You're telling us how to feel about a character by describing the character. We need to see their face. So when you started with your partner in the beginning, the partner who shamed you, you just say partner, partner, partner. All characters need to have a name. If you were with somebody, they deserve a name. Doesn't have to be their actual name, but let us have a name, because partner, I have a partner. My partner probably looks nothing like the partner you have. It's one of those words that kind of says, usually when people tell you a story, they will go, so I met this person on this dating site, and we went to a bar, and we had a drink. Thanks. Got nothing out of that. In almost the same amount of time, you could go, I met Adam off Scruff, and we went. Now we can conjure up an image from a name rather than the word partner. We can see the bar, we can see the gin and tonic. It takes almost the same amount of time, but the more detail you put in, the more that the audience is going to be there, because their goal is to walk through, they want to be in your skin for 10 minutes. They want to see what you saw, they want to taste what you taste, they want to feel the excitement of, wait, that's a thing? I get so many good laugh lines in here. Wait, I can put my dick in with a fist, that's a thing? That is a great place to tell us how it works. So imagine, in this room, probably most people know how it works. But let's say it's a room full of 95% brand new people who have heard this world of sex parties and Leathermen, and they don't know how to find it, and they don't know how it works. You telling a story tells them what they would be walking into, makes them more likely. So when you get a chance in a story, when he's like, why don't you put your dick in there too, then just kind of go, so I reach into the tub of J-Lube and I get it really wet, and with my left hand I slide it in along the side. Tell us what it feels like. Most people, when they describe what it feels like, they go, amazing, which is a word that doesn't have any meaning anymore because we all say, everything's amazing. Just kind of like, try and imagine exactly what it felt like. Like the first time, not only your fist, it's the first time you've ever fisted, but you've got your dick in there at the same time. What, like, if you sat there and thought about that, it's a word that would describe that so that people could go, oh, yeah, that description makes me go, I kind of feel like I felt it too. So make your characters come to life by giving them names and physical descriptions so that we can see their face. You did a great job of painting the party. When you got to the second party, you were with somebody on the dance floor, and I thought you were with Raymond. And then you said, oh my God, it's you. And I realized the third person had walked in, and that person was Raymond. So I got a little confused. One of the reasons we give characters names is so that, for example, like if you're at a sex party and everybody there is male, and then he turns to him and he said, and they, and you're just like, there's so many he's, I don't know what's happening. So you can go, so Raymond turns to Adam and says, it keeps the characters distinct because all we have to paint the scene is your words. You really did this great job of telling us how much this moment meant to you, like how moving it was, how life-changing, doing something you'd always dreamed of, and falling madly in love with somebody who gave you permission to do something and didn't make you ashamed of it. You were at almost 12 and a half minutes, and that's not surprising. There's some other stories that are 28, and then I have to start editing it down. So you did a great job. I would tighten up the end of your story, because what we usually do is we go, and then the climax of the story, and then you go, okay, now I should say some stuff after that. What do I say after that? Usually we talk too long, and then we talk after that and go, it was incredible and amazing and life-changing, and you just keep talking. And we all do that, because we haven't planned the last line. So when I work with people, I let us find the whole story, like figure out the whole story, figure out the time of the story, and then we go back in and go, what's the most powerful opening line? What's the line that you're going to walk off on where you know exactly where you're going to end the story? Because nobody does that. Not nearly as well as you did off the cuff. Did a great job.
Thank you.
Give it up for me. Do you want to do quick Q&A? Or
Yeah, if you have any questions at all about that, the feedback Dixie's just given, or Audie or Dixie, any questions at all? Why don't you keep that? I will just shout. You guys take those chairs. I'll go.
And you'll put
I'm going to stand on this extra.
Dixie.
Yeah.
So when Donald asked you about your origins with storytelling, you didn't actually say how you found your inner storyteller. Like what made you realize this was what you were good at?
You ask good questions. So I grew up in Virginia, and my aunt lived in West Virginia. And when I was a kid, Southerners drink too much and talk too much. So every summer, we'd go to my Aunt Dot's house in West Virginia, and they'd kill a pig, and then they'd put it in the ground for 3 days. And then they'd just sit there and play the banjo and drink beer and tell stories. And while everybody else was outside, I sat there and listened to the stories. They weren't good stories, but they were stories. I've always wanted to know. I mean, for me, I'm obviously somebody who loves to know secrets, and it's such evil to but you know, that's why people fall in love with you, because you got up there and showed your real self. So I just really, for me, it's not so much about telling a story myself. It started with me telling stories, because you know how I say when you feel it right here, that's the moment that feels real.
Yeah.
For me, I never thought I'd have love. I felt unworthy of love. Then I am going to do everything in the fucking world so that when I'm old, I'm going to have amazing stories. How you get people to create amazing stories? Well, you fuck them, is one way. And if you say you'll fuck them, you can also throw in lots of weird rules. Like, I would go meet people on the internet, and I put it out on Craigslist and say, hi, meet me in a bar. I want you to wear a brown paper bag on your head with the eye hole cut out and the mouth hole cut out. Show up at this bar, order a drink. You'll know who you're meeting because I'll be sitting there with a brown paper bag on my head. And maybe if we hit it off, we'll go to my place a block away and we'll fuck, but we'll leave the bags on the whole time, because how funny would that be with the rustling sound of the bag? So I just went, the internet is this place where you can have anything you want. I can make up any dumb, and people would do it, you know? So I just went out and just created stories, and then I got invited to a storytelling event and went, that's why I've been doing this fucked up shit all these years. I knew I had to, but I didn't know why. And then in the beginning, the stories were, I would always kick off every show. One time, I set a theme, and I said the theme was the worst sex ever. And everybody went, yeah, and I'm like, oh good, we're gonna have a lot of stories for worst sex ever. But in those days, I started every show with my own story. So I'm like, I don't have a story of the worst sex ever. So I put it out on Craigslist, looking for the worst sex ever. And then I went, how do you know when it's the worst sex? How do you choose somebody for the worst sex? That's weird. So I just kind of went like this, and I landed on somebody, and I said, you're the grand prize winner. Meet me on the street in front of your house, send me your phone number, send me your address. I got on the bus, and I went out, I met them on the street. Because if you meet people on the street, they're not serial killers, right? Wrong. And I walked up and met him and went, you don't look like a serial killer, let's go. And I went out to his house, and he clearly hadn't read the ad. He just wanted sex. And so, you know, he was so impressed. The one thing that I went, this is going to make me know this is going to be bad sex, is he'd attached a picture to it. And it was called Hung JPEG. And it was a picture of his dick. Wasn't that impressive to me, but he was obviously impressed with it. So I was like, so when I get to his house, it's like, well, how are we going to do this thing? And he just stands there and goes, so do you want to see me? And I'm like, I want to be myself and go, fuck you, dude, but yeah, I'd love to see you. Because I gotta have a story tomorrow night and I don't have one yet. And he pulls it out and it's just kind of, and I'm like, yeah, okay, let's go. And I hand him a packet of lube and I hand him a condom and I get on my hands and knees on this rickety, shaky futon and he gets up behind me and he puts his dick in like 1/8 of an inch. And then he goes, are you okay? Yeah, fine. Just need another 8 minutes. Are you okay? Come on. You know? And eventually, there's so much lube on the thing, he accidentally slides into my ass. And he goes, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, but you're not supposed to go back and forth between the two holes, so you should just stay back there. And he can't believe anybody could take this monster in their ass. So he's like, oh. So now it's like 1/16 of an inch. Are you okay? And finally, I'm just getting tired of how long it's taken. So finally, I just go, From behind me, I hear a high-pitched scream. And pretty quickly, he just slumps on my back, and I'm just laying there on this rickety futon going, what happened? I don't understand. And eventually, he pulls out, and then he stands up, and the door is behind me. He goes into the bathroom, and he's gone for a while, and I'm just like, was that it? How do you know when the worst sex is over? So I'm just sitting there naked with lube pouring out all my holes. TV's blaring. And eventually comes to the door and he's just standing there leaning in the door and I'm like, are we done? Or are we going to go for another one or what? And he goes, yeah, when you did that thing where you threw it back on me, I pulled the hamstring and I was excruciating pain. And I shook his hand and I walked down 5 flights of stairs and I went, you know, really, I didn't clarify who the worst sex was going to be for today. So that's the kind of shit I used to make on the internet. And then when I discovered storytelling, I went, finally a place to tell those things. Because I used to be that lady who sat next to you in a coffee house while you were there with your baby and you went, I wish that lady didn't live in our neighborhood because she tells the most wrong, outrageous stories. Did I answer your question?
But I think he was just about to point for one more. Grace had his hand up earlier.
Yeah.
When this was transpiring, the thing that hit me was that the skill you have about storytelling, which I think is a ubiquitous skill that everyone can benefit from, really good BDSM and kink is about 2 or more people telling a story with each other.
Yeah.
Do you ever talk to people about how you can take this story ability into the scenes and create things in their minds? And things like
That's a good idea, Ray. Tell me what you picture, how you envision that happening.
My mentor used to always say, which is Tony Blas, that all he really needed was his mind and his voice in his hands.
Yeah.
And when you tell a story, you're directing the scene with your voice. And so that ability to create that story in someone's head, doesn't matter what you're doing, what ear you've got, it seems like that will translate to what we all do in a very significant way.
Yeah.
So has anybody sort of said that to you and said,
No. No, you're the first, but one of the things I love about storytelling, like let's say that you're doing this scene with somebody and you just are kind of like, maybe they're just like, they look like the boy next door. And then you get in this scene and they're so hot and you see them so differently. Like to be able to use your story, because the entire story is your voice. It's not, like maybe if you're at a party and somebody is just like, oh yeah, I did this amazing scene and with this person, and they look at the person and go, it's okay, he's not my type or anything like that. They can't say that. They can you can go most amazingly hot, powerful, sexy, and they're just like, they're seeing exactly what you tell them to see. And they're feeling what you tell them to feel because you control the whole experience. I love your idea though. Let's build it together. I always want to build something with you. Do we have time for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you ever had one person tell a story and the next person be the other person? or either like maybe not.
I will have all these separate people, and it's happened more than once that people were going, I'm going to tell the story about how I met somebody at Fuck Mountain. That's a party in Seattle. And then we got together and we did this, and the first time I wrote a sit-in or all these kind of things. People will be in the green room and find out, oh my God, the ex-boyfriend in your story was the guy who took me to Fuck Mountain in my, like the same people, and it just happens. I have only once ever let 2 people tell a story together because I have this thing that makes me crazy. I can't stand it when people talk over each other. The thing I love about storytelling is you're in control for 10 minutes and nobody's going to interrupt you. And if people talk over each other, I'm going to kill one of them because it's your time. But that said, Braylon, where are you at? Is Graylin still here?
I think he's got down here.
Yeah. So Graylin, who was here at the meeting, we were going to put him on stage a few months ago, and it didn't quite happen. So we're still planning that story. But Graylin has a story that he's very excited to tell, and the other character in the story is Midori. So we're like, Midori was like, how fun would it be if Graylin and I both tell our sides of the story? She goes, but the way it needs to work is we can't be in the same room to hear the other persons to have it influence us. So we're like gonna have Graylin tell a story, and Midori's gonna have a handler take her down the block and buy her a drink each other. And that's never happened before. But I love shit like that where you can make it up as you go along. I had somebody recently in Seattle. I'm gonna stop talking soon. I swear. I had somebody recently in Seattle who told a story about he'd gone to Burning Man. He'd gotten a massive crush on the woman who belonged to the dance party camp in the next camp over, and really knew that she lived in Seattle and he lived in Seattle, and really wanted to ask her out because they lived in the same town, but was being very shy about it. When suddenly one of the people from his camp said, hey, we're doing this blindfolded anonymous gangbang. Would you like to gangbang this person? And he was like, wow, that's different than the date I was planning. But I guess. So she was blindfolded, a bunch of people gangbanged her. And then when the time came to get on stage, he was like, this is the perfect opportunity. So he messaged her and said, would you like to go on a date with me? And I'm going to get on stage at a storytelling event and tell the story about how I anonymously gangbanged you. And, you know, he told the whole story, and he goes, and we're on our first date tonight, and it's going really well. She's like, this is the best date ever! I love stories like that. I've started having people say, I really, I'm about to turn 30, I really want my master to collar me, it's my dream. I'm like, why don't you tell a story about being your fantasy of being collared and how you met in your relationship? And then as part of it, the collar, they got proposed to by 2 people on stage. The 3 of them got married and they now have a baby together. Things like that. I probably should have answered that about one of the weirdest things that ever happened. Yeah. We have lots of things like that where people just said, would it be okay at the end of the story if my master puts a collar on me, or if somebody proposes marriage? And I'm like, yeah, we're making a story together. Like, we're all there as the story's being created, the next iteration of it. So, yeah.
Do we have to be kicked out of here at 9:30? We need to.
We need to wrap.
We need to wrap. Okay. Could you all please give the biggest. Thanks for the again to Matt. If you're sat beside an empty chair, if you could grab that as well as your own and walk it this way to help us back up. And we look forward to seeing you all again next